Welcome live on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are at Homestead, Miami for today's Rose DW12 IndyCar Series race. We'll be getting pre-race ceremonies underway pretty quickly here live on Checkered Flag Interactive with Steve Bonesteel and hopefully Evan Pasoko up in the booth for today's race. Race number 2 of 19. Last week we went to Interlagos, where we saw the best of the best road series racers in this league take to the track and show them these oval drivers exactly what they have in store for them for the rest of the season at those road courses. It was a great season opener, and the week before we were at MIS, Michigan International Raceway, for the first official race together here, basically out on track for these drivers. They dove into the corners there at that 2-mile track for the pre-season event, and it was very exciting. We had a great race. Only one caution, I do believe, maybe two. And these drivers here at Homestead with the progressive banking, it's going to be another exciting event here at Homestead Miami Speedway. This track, 1.5 miles. Pretty new, one of the newer tracks on the NASCAR circuit, and also the Rose IndyCars and the real IZOD IndyCar series. When they started coming here, it wasn't all that long after NASCAR decided to come here that they brought their IndyCars here, and it's a great place for the IndyCars to race. With the progressive banking, it allows for multiple grooves to be used, but that high line can definitely be a place where these drivers can pick up their momentum. So, as the little bit of open warm-up here gets under wraps, we will be heading over to our in-race reporter for a lap around Homestead Miami Speedway. Do not go away. We've got that coming up for you and plenty more on Checkered Flag Interactive.
Welcome to the Homestead Miami Speedway here on iRacing. The Speedway first opened in November of 1995 and was originally modeled as a smaller version of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Since then, the track has undergone 2 reconfiguration and now stands at 1.5 miles long. The Homestead Miami Speedway's turns are progressively banked from 18 degrees at the bottom to 20 degrees at the top and 3-degree banking on the straightaway. The key to Homestead Miami Speedway is being as smooth as possible. I like to pick a steering wheel angle as I go into the corner, hold it there because that minimizes the inputs you have on the steering wheel, thus you're not scrubbing off as much speed. Come up the corner as high as we can, starting our first time lap, topping at about 221. We're going to do a nice light apex into the corner all the way down to the white line, letting the car naturally drift up using the track's progressively banked corners to get a nice good run down the backstretch. Going into turn 3, we're going to do another light apex, going all the way down to that white line, letting the car take itself and let it drift up. Once again, using the progressively banked corners as we come to start our final time lap. Once again, going into turn 1, we're going to be as smooth as possible on the steering wheel, all the way down to that white line, letting the car naturally drift itself up off the corners, avoiding the massive bump off of turn 2 that can really scrub up some speed. Going into turn 3, we're going to do another light apex, all the way down to the white line, letting the car naturally drift itself back up off of turn 4, coming across start and finish line, and that's a qualifying run around Homestead Miami Speedway.
welcome back. We are live at Homestead, Miami Speedway for the Rose DW12 IndyCar Series event here. Race number 2 of 19, our first official oval event of the year. Pretty much every week we go back and forth from oval to road course, and there's a couple weeks where we will be going doubling up and then having 2 road courses in a row. And the next week I do believe we have a 2-week break actually here, and then we're going to be going off to Road America in the IndyCar again, and that's going to be one of the tracks where I think some of these road drivers might even have some competition from some of the oval guys. A lot of the oval guys in here have some experience from the NASCAR series on iRacing. And I look, Alex Simpson, last week's winner, he will be starting towards the front here, I'd like to say, compared to where he thought he'd be starting when we talked to him last week. So impressive qualifying run earlier on today for him. What you just saw and what we have up on the board is not the qualifying session. It's the end of open warm-up. So here the drivers are getting down onto the grid, and Checkered Flag Interactive will be ready to bring you the coverage from Homestead, Miami for 186 laps today. As these drivers are gridded, the pace car lights are off. We are set and ready to take the green flag for the first official time at a track where we will be turning left the entire time, aside from pit stops. Fuel strategy and strategy as a whole will be very interesting here tonight. We'll lead into that a little bit further after the green flag, but now we turn our attention down to the track as we get ready for the green flag. The pace car is down, the green flag is away, and Brandon Trost leads the field down into turn 1 and 2. Miguel Martinez follows right behind him, just as we saw at MIS a few weeks ago with Alex Simpson, last week's winner, close in trail. Diving down into 3 and 4, we're going to be watching the effect the draft has on the front end of these cars. These 4 cars are starting to break away after 1 lap already. Just like that, 29 seconds away, and a full lap is complete here, and that's including the time they had to get their cars sped up after the pace car pulled down. We've got single file all the way through the top 10 right there as these drivers get single file out. Our in-race reporter Brandon Trano going underneath Alex Simpson. It's not going to work out. Passing is going to be very tough here going into the corners, especially 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is a little bit of a wider corner, and it allows you to really use more of the track. And then 3 and 4, you have to really get that car down to the apex as quickly as possible. That natural braking of the amount of turn you have to put into the car. If you run the higher lines, you risk cars going underneath of you, which can cause a problem all on its own. But right now, most of the field getting single file out early on, and it's going to be a long race for some of these drivers as they did not get the qualifying hopes that they wanted. But right now, things looking clean and green towards the front. There on your screen, we've got another battle out on track right now. We've got Gary Borkenhagen just now pulling away from this group of cars right there. Jamie Rushworth trying to make the pass on the number 33 of Vic Caudill, and it's going to be hard to make that pass and stick it, but it looks like he's going to dive it down in the 3 and 4. That's going to make the number 33 let up just a little bit there. The number 3, Jamie Rushworth, will clear him going down the front straightaway, diving down into 1 and 2. They're still going to be battling just a little bit there, but it looks to be that blink that the number 33 has is not going to change a thing as he dives back underneath that number 3, diving into the corner again. That pass is going to be made, and now the 54 of Barry Rolland is going to dive underneath that number 3 there, and it looks like he'll be trying to take away that 10th spot, but it's only going to be a matter of time, I do believe, before more of these cars start to really, I guess you could call it, rubber band their way up towards these guys. Back out front, we take a look at Brandon Trost, and he has almost a quarter of a second of a lead over that number 9 of Brandon Trano, our in-race reporter. But that draft is going to allow Brandon to just ride in line, and which is exactly what he needs to do here. Looking up from the stand, you can see that this field is already spread out by quite the distance from above. Brandon Trano, though, now looking towards the bottom of the track, trying to make something happen against that leader there. But Brandon Trost is looking strong, just as he did a couple weeks ago at Michigan International Speedway. Of course, that race was not for points here as they go side by side. The number 9, Brandon Trano, diving underneath our leader there, trying to take it away, coming down the front straightaway. It's going to be a drag race going into 1 and 2. Still side by side. Nobody's giving an inch early on here. And these open wheel Indy cars are just so versatile. You can drive them anywhere without literally using much of any brake or even letting off unless you're right behind someone, where that draft is going to give that massive push effect through the corner. As we look back towards that 10th spot battle, we've still got these drivers swapping in and out. There, the number 35 trying to dive under him, or excuse me, the 55. And the number 3 is just hanging strong there in the middle line of the track, which is really keeping the momentum for Tony there in the number 55. It's keeping that momentum down. He's going to have to stay up behind him as they're going to continue going around this track. 1 and 2 seems to be a pretty good corner for most of these drivers out here. That's where they seem to be picking up their speed, but a lot of drivers seem to be struggling in 3 and 4. And with that being said, depending on how they take that line there, that could start to affect their right front tire in these Indy cars. And if you get that right front tire superheated or something along the lines of that right there, that can be pretty tough, especially in the draft when you're coming up on another car. You don't have the grip that you need, and we're going to see some drivers, as you see the number 3 right there, Rushworth, get almost up into the outside wall. So definitely going to have to be watching for these drivers as the run goes on to see how they use their tires and see how they use their car, and how are they going to really push their car as the run goes on. It's definitely going to be interesting. But looking back up front, Brandon Trano, now that he has gone around that number 66 of Brandon Trost, he has got a full second of a lead, and that is very impressive here in these Indy cars. That draft is so effective. You get behind someone, you pull them up. It's much kind of like, in a sense, racing at Daytona or Talladega in the NASCARs. You get that draft from about quarter second behind, you pull right up on them. Well, double that here in these Indy cars. As the caution comes out, we've got our first incident of the night. Looks like it's going to be the number 55 there, and we're going to watch the replay here. We see him getting loose off the corner, just like I had said before. He gets that inside retainer wall, and these Indy cars, the way those contact points are, flips him over. Very hard damage on that number 55. Probably going to be the end of his race. They'll fix that front wing if he comes down pit road, but those side pods are totaled, and I'm pretty sure you can look there. He's crab walking just in the grass, so that suspension is also done for. Very tough break for that number 55, but that will be his. That will probably be his race. Looking back up towards the front, it looks like the majority of the field's going to be coming down pit road, if not everybody. Brandon Trano leading the number 66 of Brandon Trost with Miguel Martinez in third, Brandon Lichtenberg fourth, Alex Simpson fifth, our winner from last week. As these drivers head down pit road, we're going to head over to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. Checkered Flag Interactive will be right back from Homestead, Miami Speedway. We are back here on Checkered Flag Interactive, pulling up the current running order after 18 laps. Brandon Trano out in front right now, with Brandon Trost right behind him, and then Miguel Martinez third, Brandon Lichtenberg in fourth, Cam Stark moving up to fifth, Alex Simpson sixth, Vic Caudell in seventh, Gary Borkenhagen eighth, Jamie Rushworth up to ninth now, with Ryan Littlemore rounding out that top 10 there. And the number 55, after that hard incident there, he will pull it off the track, head over to the garage area, and get checked out with the infield care center. He is out for the night, but the pace car lights are off, and now we are ready to take the green flag once again. Now that we've got things reset 20 laps into this race, we're ready to take a look at, see where we go from here. Earlier on, we talked very briefly about what we will see strategy-wise. We can make it usually about 50 to 54 laps on fuel, and the tires do fall off quite a bit here in the IndyCars, almost to a full second, usually anywhere between 6 to 8 tenths throughout the run. And when you come down pit road here. You will lose about a lap and a half, so that's going to be interesting if we have green flag pit stops, but the pace car is in. Our leader is now away, green flag in the air. We are back racing here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Looking at the field, diving down the backstretch, we've got another drag race for the lead here. The number 66 dropping up back to the lead there, with Brandon Trano falling into second place there. Brandon Trost back to the lead, but that draft is going to allow that number 9 to pull back up, and he blinks very briefly there. Camera falls off of him, but they're going side by side once again down the backstretch. As you see the rest of the field still 2 and even 3 wide there, chasing each other down, trying to make a pass, make a move as quickly as possible there. You see the number 9 choosing the lower corner, and there we have another caution. Going to pull up a replay and see what happened there. I saw the number 33 of Vic Caudill. He was blinking quite a bit there, thinking that's where the caution originated from, but we'll have to take a look. And that is exactly what happened. A very weird incident, though. The number 33, he pulled off of the track. He was out of the way. And regardless, the caution still did come out. Remember, you are watching the Rose DW12 IndyCar Series race number 2 of 19 here at Homestead Miami Speedway, our second race of the season. Previewing what the schedule looks like after this, we go to Road America in 2 weeks' time, Sebring after that, Iowa Speedway, a very short track for these Indy cars, very fun track. Then we go to Barber. And Skip Barber is a very interesting track to race at. Then Pocono, we go to the longer and the faster tracks. Then Milwaukee, back to the shorts one. And then we go to Watkins Glen, one of those tracks that I do believe will equalize a lot of the driving between some of the drivers that run on the NASCAR tracks more than the IndyCar schedule. And then we go to Mosport. Or before Mosport, we actually go to Kentucky. That's all the way in February, Kentucky being another one of the night races. Then we have Indianapolis all over the place there. We've got the road course, then we've got the Indianapolis Special Qualifying Event. And that is March 15th. Then we've got the Indianapolis 500 event for the DW12 series here. That is March 22nd, looking a few months ahead. Should probably take a moment and talk about the Dallara DW12 Indy car here. These things only weigh about 1,600 pounds. They've got 18.5 gallons in the fuel cell, a 2.2 liter turbocharged V6 engine. These things can crank out anywhere between 600 and 700 horsepower at any given time, and for these little cars, that is incredible. You have to consider a NASCAR pulls out anywhere between 700 and 800 horsepower, and they weigh almost 2.5 times the amount these Indy cars do. So very incredible cars, very expensive cars too, and you can only imagine why when they wreck in real life, how it's very tough when they just it's just so hard to replace these things. I do believe they cost anywhere between $400,000 and $500,000, pretty much, from anywhere from the electronic parts, the engines, and everything in between. So these cars are incredibly, not only expensive, but incredibly high tech as well. And if you're wondering where my partner in crime, Evan Pasoko, is, I do believe he woke up yesterday morning not feeling very well, and must be continuing on to today. Hopefully he feels better, and if he does, he might drop in later, but we'll only have to wait and see. But Steve Bonesteel's up in the booth. Next time we get a chance, we are going to bring in our in-race reporter. He will have a quick preview of what he feels, how the setup is for him, and how the race is going. But pace car lights are off. The field is ready to get racing once again. Pace car is down. Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Another clean start for the leaders, but they're going to go side by side down in 3 and 4. Miguel Martinez there in third, trying to get their draft going down in the corner. Not going to quite get there, but them racing side by side will definitely give him the opportunity to pull up and maybe get to their back bumper there. As you see, that is what he's going to be able to do going into 1 and 2 there. That front of the car is going to get really loose there. I guess tight, you could call it, actually. Complete opposite of loose. That draft just plows your car like a dump truck towards that outside wall, depending on how you make your entrance to the corner. The leader's still battling it out there side by side, now going nose to, I guess you could call it wing to wing instead of bumper to bumper or nose to nose, but they're going to be going down single file. The top 5 all single file there, with the top 4 breaking away. These drivers behind them getting in line, trying to see if they can run down this front pack. Some more blinking there from our leader on your screen. That could be detrimental to his event, depending on what happens. He could have been going side by side there with the number 66, and that blinking could have sent him up into the wall. Something like that caused a large incident, so it's very fortunate for him that he was not battling too close with that number 66, because when you're so close to people, especially in these Indy cars, the contact points are already a little bit off. You can definitely have some very big issues when your car is blinking. Taking a look further back into the field, we've got another battle for position. That 13th position is up for grabs. Austin Espety there. He has a lot of cars in that pack right behind him. That number 95 is looking to take away that spot. Just recently lost it to the number 7 there. And this second, or I guess this would be the 4th pack out on track. They have now started to lose touch to the main pack that contains a lot of big name drivers. And we have another caution out on the speedway here. Lap 32 of 186. Pulling up the replay on your screen, we're going to be taking a look at the number 4 of Andrew Woodhouse. It looks like this is the area where the caution originated. Diving down in the corner, he got a slight tap from behind, and that's going to send him around to the outside wall, barely missing cars coming back down the track. Very violent hit for him. The number 4, he will be done for the night. Taking another look at that right there, you just see the slightest tap from the number 56, and around goes the number 4, and again just barely being missed by those other drivers going through the corner. So a very tough break, and very unfortunate too for that number 4. He was having a pretty decent night, running just about the top 10. So those incidents, it happens here in these Indy cars. When you wreck, you usually wreck pretty hard. It's not like wrecking in a street stock or even in some of the other road cars like the Porsche. When you wreck here, you're wrecking hard, and you're probably going to be done, because these cars, they get beat up so easily there. Taking a look at pit road, just take a look. All the front the front two tires there are exposed, with the suspension bars also being exposed, and those rear tires also in a pretty sensitive area with those pods right in front of them. Those pods get damaged, you will lose a lot of top speed, and at these tracks, especially the ovals, you need as much top speed as you can get, because if you don't have your top speed, you're going to get passed, because these cars are just so incredibly fast. But here on Checkered Flag Interactive, we're going to head over to another quick commercial break. Do not go away. Steve Bonesteel will be up in the booth with our in-race reporter. Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. We are on board with our leader Brandon Trano and our in-race reporter. Brandon, you got a copy? It's Steve up in the booth.
Hey Steve, what's going on?
Not much, just taking a look at this race here. Pretty interesting. I didn't think the field would get spread out quite like it has. How's the car feeling, and how has the racing been? I know you and the number 66, both Brandons out in front, have been battling pretty hard, and you guys have been able to pull away. But that first run there, when you got around them, you just pulled right away. So do you think you've got one of the faster cars out on the track?
Well, the guys over at Broken Arrow put a really good setup together. We're a little slow on the starts, not as fast as I wanted to be, but judging by everybody else's times and how their car handles, they seem to fall off a lot more than we do. So that's where we feel our advantages. So what I was happy about that initial green flag run is that I was able to just go right to the front once everybody's tires fell off and just kind of start walking away. But I wish I had a little more speed on the initial starts just so I could get a little more breathing room, but we'll see how it goes.
With that concern on the initial starts, do you believe we're going to have quite a few short runs, or do you think we'll see a long green flag kind of situation like we did at MIS a few weeks ago?
I think we'll get a long green flag run right about here. Hopefully it spreads out a little bit. We can see what our car really does.
All right, 10-4, good stuff. I will move you back up to your channel. Green flag's out. As the field once again dives down this straightaway, a familiar sight with Brandon out in front, but Miguel Martinez right on his back bumper there, almost contact for that third position. That could have been incredibly bad as they dive down into 1 and 2 once again. It looks like Brandon's going to have the advantage, of course, pulling away. That number 9 looking strong. I know he said he wasn't too great on the short run, but he did not pit, so his tires are still pretty warmed up from that last little bit of racing we had. Not a very long run, about 10 laps, if that, maybe anywhere between 5 and 6. So that car should be fresh and clean, but right now he is starting to pull away already. Would like to update you on Brandon Trost. He came down pit road there after that short run. He is sitting right now in 12th position, halfway through the field there, working his way up through the field slowly. He's already picked up 2 spots since the restart, but that number 66 Verizon Dallara looks pretty strong here, and we'll have to watch and see how he deals with the slower traffic, because most of these cars are about 1/10 or maybe even 2/10 off of what he's been able to run so far in the beginning of the race. And of course there is quite a bit of traffic back there, so that does slow them down, but only so many cars can really get around this track at a time, and 2 and 3 wide can be a very interesting situation, especially in these packs. So of course traffic's going to be interesting there as we've got a car up in the wall. It looked like Barry Rowland there, and the number 54, as he gets hit again, is going to slip up towards the wall. That was going to be very, very bad. He has fallen back like a rock. He was sitting nice up in 13th position, but he got caught up with a couple cars there. The slight contact points, you can see how it works. You just slightly tap someone and it sends them up towards the wall. But we're going to look back up. We've got the number 24 of Cam Stark moving up into the top 3. And we've got Brandon Lichtenberg right on the back bumper of his IndyCar here. And he's trying to get up to that lead pack. But right now, Brandon Trano is pulling away very slightly. And it looks like he's going to be able to maybe get that long run he's hoping for, as the rest of the field is pretty much single file. Going up into the checkered flag interactive blimp here, taking a look at these drivers, the different lines that they choose, especially when they're behind other people. Brandon Lichtenberg looking to the high side of Stark there, the number 24 on the bottom. Looks like he will let him complete that pass going down into 1 and 2. So move Brandon Lichtenberg up the 3rd position and move Cam Stark back 1. Another driver we saw pretty strong last week, of course, getting the win after leading pretty much the entire race. Alex Simpson there in the number 14. He has got his car up to the top 5, and he's looking to start chase these other drivers down that are in front of him. But right behind him, I would like to mention that Jamie Rushworth, a driver who started just outside the top 10, he has now got his number 3 machine up towards that top 5, and he's right in the draft, so he's going to start pulling up to the back bumper of Alex Simpson, and we might start to see him get towards the front of the field here. But Brandon Trano now has almost a full second of a lead over our 2nd place driver Miguel Martinez. And right now, it is just one of those things where he's going to be waiting to see if we get another caution earlier on in this run. If not, he is in a good position. He is out in front, pulling away. He said his car is pretty good on the longer runs, and he really wishes it could be better on the short run, but I think if we get a long run here, we might even go all the way towards the end of this race. And unfortunately for some of these drivers, like the number 66, Brandon Trost, who came down for that last pit stop, that extra 5 laps of fuel that he's going to gain for coming down pit road is not going to help him here with so many laps left in this race. Drivers can go anywhere between 50 and 54 laps on a full tank of fuel, and it does take about 12 seconds to get that full tank in when you come down pit road, anywhere between 8 to 12 seconds depending on how the rest of your pit stop goes. So you do lose about a lap and a half here when you come down pit road under green. Most of these drivers I heard during practice and qualifying were hoping they weren't going to have to make too many green flag pit stops because of the way the pit road entrance and exit is here at Homestead, Miami. You do have to use the access road on entrance and on the exit, which is very deceiving in these Indy cars. When you use it in a NASCAR, you know that you can't push it too hard. But I know I practiced for a little while earlier just for fun, and I found myself pushing the car too far because it felt like I'd be able to stick it a lot more than I could, and then I'd come to the apex of that access road, and then I'd find myself out into the grass, falling back onto the track, and if that happens during the race, which I really hope that it doesn't, it could cause some massive problems for some drivers out here. We've got another battle on your screen right now. The number 30 of Scott Smith Leading that pack there, he's got the number 65 of Eric Davis starting to pull up underneath of him, but he's got the number 95 underneath as we got another caution here. We've got a car. What in the world are we watching on our screen? We've got a car on two wheels against the wall. That was strange right there. I mean, I've been on iRacing for about 3 years now. I can say I've pretty much seen it all. But that was an interesting thing there. We've got Austin Espety battling with the number 5 of Steve Richardson, and it just knocks him up into the wall, and I'm not even sure what we just saw there. We're going to go up in the chopper about a lap before that incident and take a look at what happened once again to see if we can figure out how that car got stuck up in the wall. As we've already said earlier on in this event, the contact points of these Indy cars are a little bit glitchy at times. We'll take a look on board here. It looks like the number 35 he had the car behind him battling with him here, and he's going to dive underneath, and it looks like it just hooks him up in the wall, and he gets caught in the wall somehow, some way. Very interesting wreck. But Brandon Trano is going to use this opportunity, along with quite a few other drivers, to come down pit road, get 4 fresh tires on their Delara DW12 here. Again, they're not going to be anywhere close to needing a full fuel load on this run since we only had about 20 laps on the cars that stayed out. The number 66, Brandon Trost, will also come down pit road once again, so he will not choose to stay out and make up the position that he lost earlier for coming down pit road, which probably isn't the worst idea due to the fact that tires do fall off quite a bit here in the Delara at Homestead, Miami. Due to the way this track is shaped, you're basically always putting a little bit of force on that right front, quite a bit of force, really heating it up here with the progressive banking. For the time being, the number 65 of Eric Davis chooses to stay out. We're going to have to see if he chooses to come down pit road here. Staying above the access road under caution, it looks like the number 65 will choose to stay out, at least lead a lap here, and maybe he will come down pit road after that, but I don't believe so since pit road should be closed for him. And we're going to head off to a quick commercial break here for Checkered Flag Interactive. Do not go away. We will be back for more racing here at Homestead, Miami after the break. giving you guys an update on our in-race reporter, the number 9, Brandon Trano. He will be the first car on fresh tires with fresh fuel here when we get the green flag. 2 to go till the green flag here. Once again under caution early on. A couple drivers getting penalties under this caution period here. Alice Steven, one of those drivers, he was going down pit road, driving through pit stalls, which is not allowed here in the Rose DW12 IndyCar Series. So penalty for him as the pace car lights are actually off now. We are set and ready to take the green flag. And we're going to be watching closely here as the number 65 of Eric Davis did not pit. And we've got that number 9 who has been fast all race long, Brandon Trano to the outside. I don't really think the 65 will try to contend too much here, but it looks like they will be going side by side into 3 and 4. The 65 sliding up the track just slightly there. He's going to have to back out of the throttle. Brandon Trano around the outside, back to the point here at Homestead, Miami. Now Eric Davis has Miguel Martinez on his back bumper, going to be looking almost 3 wide in 1 and 2 there, with Martinez now breaking away. Alex Simpson and Brandon Lichtenberg in that group of cars right there, racing hard for position here as they try to deal with the number 65 who did not come down pit road. He's going to be a little bit slower for the beginning laps of this run here. Still in a very tense situation. Eric Davis hanging strong, not giving up much ground. He's going to look low on the number 17 of Miguel Martinez, not going to make the pass there. He's going to slide up the track in front of Alex Simpson. It looks like, not Alex Simpson, but Brandon Lichtenberg. Lichtenberg had to get out of the gas there. That's going to allow Cam Stark to pull up to the back bumper there. A 4-car battle here on your screen. Very tense situation for all of these drivers early on in this race. Only 59 laps complete. And for the fans at home watching the broadcast, head over to the chat box. Tell us what you think of this race. What do you think of the broadcast? What's good? What's not so good? Let us know how you feel, because we are here to make the broadcast good for those of you at home watching, and hopefully watching these things for many months and even years to come, as we've got some passing on the outside. The number 20 moving around the number 65 of Eric Davis. What a strong pass that was. The number 20 looking strong there, Rob, and that number 20, the bright colors on that car. Now we've got the number 3, Jamie Rushworth, trying to get around that number 65. It looks like the 65 is just really holding up a lot of cars here with that tight condition, probably from the heated up tires from that first run. So definitely not a good choice for the number 65 to stay out, because he's already fallen back to pretty much where he started. Miguel Martinez is about half of a second back on Brandon Trano, our leader, and it doesn't look like he's going to be gaining him anytime soon, because Brandon Trano was about half of a tenth faster every lap, and actually that last time by, he was a full tenth faster than our second place driver, Miguel Martinez. Brandon Lichtenberg starting to draw back into that second place driver with Alex Simpson in tow. As we continue to look back there, we've almost got trouble with the number 66 of Brandon Trust. A lot of Brandons with T's after their names, I guess, in this race. He's going to very closely navigate his way around that number 65 as he continues to drop like a rock here. Going side by side, Scott Smith with the number 99, Gary Borkenhagen there with the number 77, also looking to get in there, Ryan Littlemore. Thinking about it, backing out. Very smart move on his part not to get involved with that. That could have been very bad for some of those drivers there, as they're still going almost 3 wide there, diving down in the 3. It looks like we will be 3 wide very momentarily, but he will back out of it. Very wise move there by the number 99 of Gary Borkenhagen. Smart move by him. Ryan Littlemore still trying to draw back into that field there, but he's got the number 95 on his back bumper, pushing him towards the field. The number 95 is now going underneath of him. Ryan Littlemore being passed by another car on the inside. Very tense battling here for about 12th on back on your screen. let's just take a moment and go on board with the CFI gyro cam here on the number 77 of Ryan Littlemore as we take a look at him in 15th place trying to battle for position. You can really see that tight condition that gets caused when you get into the draft of another car. You start to lose the front end. It gets really tight on you there as he blinks just a little bit. Diving down into 1 and 2, he's just going to let off really early there to make sure he accounts for that tight car, and he's going to get out of the draft so it loosens up, that front end comes back to you, and now he's going to try and chase down that number 65, who is continuing to drop after starting first. He's all the way back to 14th now, as we've almost got a situation there with the number 56 of T.M. Hauser moving underneath our number 77 as he goes around the 65. You are tuned in live to Checkered Flag Interactive here at Homestead, Miami for race number 2 of 19 for the Rose DW12 IndyCar Series. Watching a great battle on your screen as a little bit of a blinking issue continues from the number 77 there. And I've just heard word from my co-partner in crime, Evan Pasoko, that he will be up in the booth very shortly, just making his way back from a doctor's appointment. Must have ran over maybe the urgent care, something like that. But looking at the action on track, what you guys really care about, Miguel Martinez still a second and a half back from our leader Brandon Trano. So this is going to be a long run for Miguel Martinez, Brandon Lichtenberg, and the number 4th place driver of Alex Simpson. All of those drivers trying to chase down our leader here, but they just don't seem to be having quite the pace that our leader has. And Brandon Trano, of course, is our in-race reporter. So we definitely hope him to have the best throughout this event. But we are going to head over to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. I will hopefully have Evan Pasoko up in the booth when we come back. Back live here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Another update on our in-race reporter, who is leading the field very dominantly right now. 77 laps into this race. We're coming close to the halfway mark. We've got about 25 laps into our run right here after a few early cautions. Looks like Brandon Trano is looking pretty strong here. Of course, no one in the same time zone right now, as Evan Pasoko has now joined me up in the booth. How you doing, Evan?
We're doing all right, and these guys have been putting on a show so far, and we had to get some stuff sorted out, but we're finally ready to go. And as you said, just closing in now on the halfway point. Got a lot of battles going on around the racetrack, but you can't say much more than Brandon Trano pulling the Alex Simpson route, Steve, from last week, where we got everybody else on each other's bumper. You've been talking about it. We've had battles throughout the top 10, 15th position. Everybody's fighting. He's now 3 seconds to the good. Nobody's in his zip code right now.
And right now we're going to actually have it up on our screen, taking a look at Brandon Trost, another one of those drivers who started towards the front. He made an interesting choice a few cautions ago, Evan, and he decided to come down pit road after about 5 laps on the green flag run. Since then, he has really dropped off of the pace, and I don't really know if he's any much slower. It's just he's having a hard time getting around these cars as we watch him there battling for 9th position with Dennis on his inside. It's going to be a drag race down in 3 and 4, as we've saw so many times here today. That drag race is pretty much as you're going to get, because once you get to the corner, that inside line starts to pull again, and unless you've really got a strong car on the high side, that inside line is just going to push you up, and you're going to have to let out of it. But right there, it looks like the number 66 of Brandon Trost will make the pass, and he will move up into the top 10 in 9th position there, as we've actually got Brandon Lichtenberg now moving up into 2nd place.
Yeah, these 3 cars have all been battling at it, and now you see it's going to be a move by Alex Simpson, who goes down to the bottom side, and he's going to be able to take the number 2 spot. These 3 cars, 2nd through 4th position, have been tucked up on each other. The 14 has been being patient, and we talked to him after the race 1 week ago at Interlagos, and it was unsure about the ovals. He had not got any practice down on the Homestead Miami Speedway, and he's clearly got that thing dialed in, because now he's up to a top 2 spot, and he started in the top 3 with that 3rd place qualifying effort as well. So the 14 team looking real strong so far, not only last week but tonight as well in the season championship points. Although it's still young, he's making himself solidified as a serious contender.
And one thing we did talk about, Evan, last week, one thing that's important for these drivers that are good on the road courses, of course, Alex Simpson being a pro road course racer here on iRacing, you have to be consistent on these ovals as well. You don't necessarily have to blow the other drivers out of the water, but you do have to be able to finish in the top 5, at the very least the top 10. And right now, Alex Simpson doing a good job showing that he's not here just for the road courses. He knows what he's doing when it comes to the ovals as well. The number 14 team's got a strong setup under the hood here today, and it looks like he is sitting comfortably now in 2nd place, trying to chase down the leader, but Brandon Trano is not going to let him get anywhere close, at least anytime soon.
It's interesting to see that how much that battle broke up, because again it was Simpson, Lichtenberg, and Martinez that were all stacked up on each other, and now it's Alex Simpson with a 2nd to the good over Lichtenberg, who sits now in 3rd position. So once they started shuffling things up, they really got spread out, and we got a couple of guys here that are going to be in a battle not too far from now, 4th through 6th now, which is where Miguel Martinez has slid back into the clutches. There's Cam Stark in that mix, as well as Jamie Rushworth. These guys all pretty good and stacked up on each other, and Rushworth actually closing in on the back bumper of Cam Stark as they run right now. This going through quarters number 3 and 4. So there are, although again long green flag run, there's a lot of battles. We got side by side for P10 and almost 3 wide at a point. We got one car way up high, nearly overdriving it into the fence, was TM Hauser. He's able to hang on now 3 wide down the front.
Going into 1 and 2, we've got a 3-wide battle here. This is incredible racing. Everyone's got to hold their line. TM Hauser in the middle there, or dropping down to the bottom. He's going to fall and make a move and actually be able to pass these cars. So incredible racing there on your screen, as these drivers are just giving it all they've got, as we're coming close, Evan, to the halfway point. 88 laps into this race. We have seen some incredible racing, most of it being about halfway through the field, as we've got the number 99 looking back underneath the number 95, and it's going to be Borkenhagen on the bottom here going into 3 and 4, and it looks like he will pull it down to the apex. He's going to hit the apron, Evan, slip up the track, have to let out of the gas, and he's going to drop back behind the number 95 and hold on to that 13th position.
Yeah, he just got those left side tires down, and that machine was going to go straight up the hill, so he had to back out of it. He's going to lose a little bit of track position on George Najox in front of him, but Borkenhagen was the guy that was in the middle of that 3 wide, and he could have stayed in there. We could have gone 3 wide all the way through quarters number 1 and 2 down the back, and who knows what would have happened from there, but it was Gary Borkenhagen who was taking the conservative route, and he was going to be the one that backs out of it, and in the end, because he wanted to play it safe, we could say, or be the one that gives everybody else room, he loses about 2-3 positions in that exchange. So he's going to have to work on getting back up to the 95, work that draft a little bit. He's a couple car lengths off as he sits back in 13th position. Borkenhagen going to be shooting for another top 10 spot after he started there in 9th, sits right now in 13th position. So a slid back 4 positions from the start of the race. I'm sure the 99 again would like to be able to get back up to a top 10 running position. Meanwhile, Brandon Trano, his gap had increased at 1 point to 4 seconds. Now it's back down to 3.2 over Alex Simpson, who is now 2 seconds clear of Brendan Lichtenberg, who sits in 3rd spot.
And it's really impressive to take a look at Alex Simpson's lap times. He's almost 2/10 faster. A lot of times going around this track, just last time by, he was a full 10th faster than Brandon Trano. Brandon Trano looks to me, maybe he said that right front earlier on. I was listening in the radio. He said that right front tire temperature was pretty high. And what that could be is he could be wearing it out as the run goes on, and it's getting hotter and hotter. And the hotter these tires are, especially on these Indy cars, the hard tire compounds, the higher the temperature, the more the tire pressure is going to be, and the harder it's going to be to get that car to hold the momentum and keep it down to the bottom of the track throughout the corners. So right now, Brandon Trano having a tight condition for that car as he's just losing a little bit each and every lap to that second place driver, Alex Simpson.
Yeah, when you consider the draft that these cars have, especially when you get them out on these ovals and these super speedways, you can really get tight if you enter the corner. Again, you're trying to dig a lot of a draft in, and it also happens, if you're out there by yourself as well, depending on what kind of setup you got on that machine. But what we see a lot is you'll get really aero tight if you're tucked up behind somebody, go into a corner, try to make some sort of a move, and as soon as you jump out from that wake, the car's just not going to turn, and that's why you'll see sometimes coming off the corner, somebody's just going so high they got to back out of it, and they're going to be slower up against the fence than they would have put it in the wall because of the fact that they're getting just so aero tight, tucked up behind some of these other cars. But right now, the guys up front are enjoying this long green flag stretch here because, again, nobody around him. Brandon Trano actually now going to be ducking it down pit road, has to hit that service road down in between quarters number 3 and 4. He's going to be bringing it in down pit road.
And we've got quite a few drivers just now coming down pit road, about 45 to 50 laps into our run. Most of these drivers can make it about 50 to 55 laps on fuel here, but a lot of drivers choosing to come down earlier on than I thought they would, just by a couple laps. So there, the number 9 gets down into his pit stall. It goes up, all 4 tires being changed. The 4 tires will be changed before all of the fuel gets in. You've got to wait about 4 more seconds to get that fuel in, and away he goes.
And it was Brendan Lichtenberg who had stayed out that time by for the number 2 position, got the lead lap as he was the first one across the start-finish line. Now he's going to duck the number 12 down pit road, so Lichtenberg going to be coming down for a stop, and he's in for service now. Again, most likely 4 tires fueled. They can change all 4 tires, though, at once in these cars, so the car's going to go up on a jack. 4 tires going to be changed, and as you said, about 3-4 additional seconds is needed to fill that thing up with fuel, and then Brendan Lichtenberg going to be off of pit road.
He will fall back to 13th, but that is only for a short time being. Once the field works its way through pit stops, I do believe he will work his way back up to the lead for sure. Evan coming down pit road, very clean entry and exit, so he should be good to go once everything cycles back around.
We got a big pack of cars that have cycled up to whose is the top 4 right now. Jamie Rushworth is now in control of this field. Again, these guys have yet to come down pit road, but he's got company all around him. You got Miguel Martinez, Dennis Garis, Rob Uglinix, and TM Hauser all in this big pack. Now one car going to drive down to the pit lane. That's going to be Martinez's machine, and side by side it's going to be TM Hauser making a pass. You see he gets tight there. He's able to keep it out of the fence, cut that one close though, and he'll be able to pick up that spot for the moment as, again, pit stop still cycling through here under green flag conditions, but that does not mean that these guys aren't going to be any less aggressive than they typically are, as TM Hauser getting aggressive there to get P3.
Very aggressive, yes, for sure, Evan, and that could have been very bad. As we've already mentioned here, these Indy cars are very fragile machines. You just barely tap that wall, you're not only going to damage your actual body of the car, but the suspension, especially with the front tires being exposed fully. You tap that wall, you knock it out of line, you will pretty much be done for.
Yeah, these machines, although they look nice and they go fast, they don't have fenders on them. It's not like an NASCAR stock car where you can get up and rub somebody and move them out of the way. It's just not going to work at these speeds in these cars. And with that open suspension, obviously with the open wheels, very easy to get suspension damage. At iRacing, the way the damage model works and the damage physics are, any sort of damage on those suspension arms is going to cause your car to do quite some wild things. So although they look nice and again go fast, not that damage resistant are these DW12s.
As we've got your current running order up on the screen right now, you've got Dennis out in front with T.M. Hauser just half of a second behind him. And then you've got the rest of the field on your screen, but Brandon Trost is 4 seconds back from the leader, and he has not come down pit road quite yet. And Brandon Trano is 20 seconds behind these guys, and now he has come down pit road. So it's going to be interesting to see how everyone cycles out distance-wise when everyone comes back out on pit road after their pit stops, Evan.
One guy that's hoping it out, he's going to be able to get back to the lead lap. For a moment there, it was, again, Brandon Trano, who was the last car on the lead lap, Steve, and actually Alex Simpson had gone one lap down. He has now cycled through as we had another machine hit pit road. If that was not to happen, and we were to say have a caution flag at that point, that would really be bad news for that 14 of Alex Simpson, because he'd be trapped a lap down. So he's lucky and he's able to obviously get back on the lead lap. He's about 5 seconds still off of Brandon Trano as they both run in 9th and 10th positions right now. Dennis Gurry still leads this race. Again, you got T.M. Hauser, George Naujoks in 2nd and 3rd. Sitting in action is going to be a machine going around Naujoks there. It looks like a lap car of Cam Stark, who's on fresh tires, a 24 car, going to make a move. That's not for position, but now we're down to 9 on the lead lap as, again, everybody continuing to trickle down in to get this cycle of green flag pit stops wrapped up.
And remember, you are watching the Rose DW12 IndyCar Series here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are going to head off to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. Evan Pasoko and Steve Bonesteel will be back in the booth to bring you the final parts of the race. Do not go away. Back here live at Homestead Miami Speedway, where Brandon Traino has now cycled back to being into the lead. Alex Simpson second, Brandon Lichtenberg in third, Cam Stark in fourth, and then Jamie Rushworth right there in fifth with Miguel Martinez there. He's fallen out of the top 5 completely there, Evan, and that is pretty shocking, being since he was in second for the majority of that first run. So it looks like at some point he must have gotten some damage on that car while he was racing those drivers towards the front.
Interesting situation right now for Brandon Traino. He's going to go to the inside on the driver of the number 77. He's going to make the pass on Ryan Littlemore. Oh, Littlemore almost got checked up behind him as it was Traino who slid up the hill. Dedine apologizes over the radio, but I was going to say that was interesting because they were 2, and at one point, took a peek 3 wide. Those 3 cars that were right in front of our race leader, with the final 3 cars on the lead lap. Gary Borkenhagen and now Dennis Garis going to be the next 2 that'll be in a position to lose that lead lap spot, as Brandon Traino's right behind them. They're not just going to give that spot up too easily. The Dedine car, again, made the move on Ryan Littlemore and slid up a little bit, nearly cut him off. Littlemore on the brakes, no harm, no foul there. But now we're going to see Borkenhagen and Grease, some of the fastest drivers tonight, Steve, going to be going a lap down here. If Brandon Traino is able to catch them, he sits just about 1 or 2 seconds back from them as they work down the back straightaway. They're single filed out now, so they're able to get more speed, but these guys are at the tail end of what is only now 9 cars on the lead lap.
We've got a battle on your screen once again. We've got Ryan Littlemore battling with T.M. Hauser with the number 95 close in tow. He's going to dive it down. TM is drive it through the corner, make the pass pretty smooth there. The number 77, Ryan Littlemore, just continuing to drop back. So definitely not having a very good run. That pit stop did not help his cause out here as he continues to fall back. But as you said, Evan, there's only 9 cars left on the lead lap. You're looking at the number 16 of Dennis Garis, and he is the last car on the lead lap, shortly behind Gary Borkenhagen, as you mentioned there. And very briefly, you can see our leader, Brandon Traino, on the back of the cameras there. And he is slowly working his way back up there. But he is clicking off some very fast lap times. So definitely he is starting to actually extend his lead over Alex Simpson once again. The gap is now over 5 seconds.
Brandon Traino is doing what he needs to do, and again had a solid qualifying effort after starting in 4th place. Wasn't as good as it could have been if you're a guy like Brandon Trost, who had initially started on pole position, who has slid back now to 15th spot and 1 lap down. Tough break for the 60-16 after that pit strategy just did not come to fruition for them. He's stuck battling with Rocco Horvath back for 14th spot, but again, these guys are off at the lead lap as they sit right now, and it's all Traino, shades of Alex Simpson from 1 week ago, as Simpson now finds himself in second, now almost 6 seconds out of this. Alex Simpson does not have clear track in front of him, has a couple of guys battling. He has Brandon Trost there, as well as Rocco Horvath. That's a side-by-side battle. Eric Davis as well in between him and what would be, again, 6 seconds to our race leader. So Simpson losing more time every lap as he's kind of stuck behind a couple of guys battling. Meanwhile, Brandon Traino's found himself a clear patch here. Got real no competition around him. Those 2 guys that I said he'd be lapping have actually done a great job, Steve, of being able to run away. They decided not to battle. They tucked up on each other's noses. And 8th and 9th position of Dennis Garis and Gary Borkenhagen, they have actually gotten away from running single file with each other. They were right on the tip of getting lapped, and that's 25 seconds behind our leader, to the point that it had him right in front of Brandon Traino, and now they're only 23 seconds behind. So they pulled about 2 seconds on that 9 car working together and able to keep their lead lap status. So good job by both those teams.
Yeah, definitely. They chose the wiser option, I would believe, because if a caution is to come out, there's no wave around here. And there's no lucky dog. This is not NASCAR, Evan. These drivers, once you go a lap down, you have to make it up the hard way. And right now, they chose the better option, not going a lap down, sticking with each other, going single file, and hopefully pulling away. And they've been doing a good job of that. But Brandon Trano is just so strong, but he's all on his own right now. These drivers on your screen, Gary Borkenhagen and Dennis Garis, they're running about 0.2 faster each and every lap than Brandon Trano, who is all on his own in his lonesome zone right there. But you're going to watch these guys, they're going side by side right now off of 3 and 4. Drag race down the front stretch. Dennis Garis on the bottom with the number 99 of Gary Borkenhagen on the high side, dropping him behind him there in 1 and 2.
Yeah, now we're back to 10 cars on the lead lap as TM Hauser has been able to get around Brandon Trano. That happened about 2-3 laps ago, so put that number 56 machine back onto the lead lap status. He's still well behind, but closing in on the Gary Borkenhagen-Dennis Garis battle. So this could give Hauser an opportunity to get all the way up to about 8th position in this first immediate group of cars that he's found himself with. But again, there's no wave rounds, which is why I was concerned, or if you're Alex Simpson, concerned that because he pitted the lap immediately following Brandon Trano, may have not expected it, but there was that small window, Steve, where he was 1 lap down. He was the first car 1 lap down. Quickly cycled back through as the leader then came back down pit road. But you got to be nerve-wracking in those 2 laps, knowing that you got guys coming out on fresher tires. There's people battling. These closing rate in these cars can become very quick and very unexpected if you're in a pack, and a caution could fly really at any moment, and Alex Simpson was very vulnerable for those 2 laps. Luckily for him, we stay clean and green. He's been able to cycle back up to the 2nd spot. He's actually sliding back into the clutches of Brendan Lichtenberg. Again, he was 5 seconds off of Trano, now 7.4. Lichtenberg has kind of just stayed the same, about 9.6 back, so the 14 car starting to slide back. Could see a battle for second here if he continues to go in the wrong direction, and that 12 car Lichtenberg can capitalize.
Yeah, we're watching Lichtenberg right there on your screen, and he's looking pretty strong there coming onto the back bumper, the number 21. So he's going to have a little bit of a draft assistance there to pull up to the back bumper, but there's a pack of cars in front of him, Evan, and that's going to be interesting once these 2 cars start to pull up, and I do believe they will. They'll continue to gain time on that pack of cars, and a lot of those cars are not racing for position, at least with these drivers, so that's going to be interesting to see how they navigate around them.
Yeah, going around lap traffic, always an interesting thing. Again, we saw Trano try to do it on Borkenhagen there, and it didn't work. Borkenhagen and Hauser have been able to pull away. Or rather, Borkenhagen and Garis, as TM Hauser has actually put himself in the middle of those guys by completing 1 pass there. So that actually slots Borkenhagen back to the 10th spot. And you see Dennis Garis got a huge run. He's going to go to the inside, try to make a pass for P7 on Miguel Martinez. He gets that job done. Working around 1 car may be easy, but if there's a pack of cars, you always have to worry that maybe that guy up in front of you not checking his mirrors, and he's going to be making a move with the guy in front of you. He steps out of line when you're trying to get inside of him. And again, just the closing rate, how fast these guys are going. There's so much going on. When you're single file, you can kind of stretch out the hands a little bit, but I mean, you can't let these cars go on themselves. You could even wreck yourself at a quarter by yourself. But what you got to do is, when in those big packs of cars, you gotta be careful. And one of the key things is these drivers, a lot of them are in a channel with each other. They're immediately on the radio. They can also try to use the in-race chatter to try to communicate. So you have those, but a lot of times things just happen so quickly that it doesn't give a lot of people time to react, which is why pack racing is so peculiar.
And right now, TM Hauser's just now gotten around Martinez there. Martinez, ever since he lost that 2nd spot, Evan, I do believe he must have gotten up into the wall or something happened to that car. And right now, actually, he will be dropping down on the access road, coming down pit road. This is presumably going to be his final stop here with about 50 laps left in this event. Definitely a tough access road. He does a great job getting down there on a pit road, gets down to the speed limit. He's going to be heading down to a stall, and he's going to be the first car to make this second set of green flag pit stops going here.
He's down, took a look at the right side of that Honda machine and didn't see any damage that would indicate that he had made contact with the wall, but nonetheless going to pull it down into pit road for his final swing of service, coming in from 10th spot and goes into that number 2 pit stall after starting again a top 3 car. A little bit less fuel than it had to last time, still had some in the tank. He is off and away.
And now we're taking a look at the number 66 in a pack of cars there, working his way around Rocco there in the number 21. He's now got Ryan Littlemore in front of him, and that's going to be interesting as he makes that pass there on the high side. He's now going side by side down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Ryan heads down pit road, so does the number 21. On the access road they go, and drivers should be coming down pit road, pretty much everyone, within about 5 or 7 laps.
Yeah, Trost did a good job of navigating through that traffic, didn't make any sort of erratic wheel movements, just made his way to the bottom, slowly transitioned out to the high side, was able to complete that pass, and then those guys obviously coming down pit road allowed him to kind of now find himself in a little bit of an opening. Again, now we're down to 7 cars at the lead lap. Stop still cycling through. It is Brandon Trano up top. However, Alex Simpson has now dropped down to 15th position after he came down pit road just about 4 laps ago. So a short pit strategy coming from the 14 team.
Would like to take a moment here in the coming weeks. It's the holiday season. Christmas coming up, New Year's coming up, whatever you want to celebrate, it is coming up. Pretty much a big time of the year for a lot of people. Just now dropping in the sim racing, a lot of people just getting their iRacing subscriptions as the number 9 dives down the access road there. You want to join a league, you want to get your skills up, you want to get into something reputable on iRacing, take the chance, find yourself a good league. If you're looking to start a league, head over to Checkered Flag Interactive's Facebook, leave a wall post. If you leave a wall post before December 25th at midnight, we will be picking one random post to have one free broadcast from Checkered Flag Interactive for an hour and a half. So make sure you do that if you're looking for a league broadcast. Head over to our Facebook today, make a wall post, give us a little bit of information, and make sure you set a time because it cannot be when we're already reserved, and you will have one free broadcast. If you like that free broadcast, book us for some more, and you'll get yourself a set of racing broadcasts just like this one, and that one you can watch for years to come.
Back to 8 cars on the lead lap at the moment. We do have a lot of guys that are sitting 1 lap down right now, so there are going to be some battles for positions going on. That's about 9th position all the way through 17th. Right now, Brandon Trost is the last guy 1 lap down. The first guy 1 lap down, Scott Smith, who's liking where he sits right now, still has yet to come down pit road for his last stop here on the night, but that's a pretty good pickup at the moment after starting 24th position to be up in 9th spot. The 30 car has been doing a lot of work here tonight, especially considering how much green flag racing we have had, at least in this second portion of the race, pretty much green all the way. For a majority of this race here now, a really great green flag run, starting deep in the pack. Although you've got a lot of speed and you're going to be drafting the 99 of Gary Borkenhagen coming over the radio, he's going to be coming down pit road. He's on the access lane right now, but although everybody's got a lot of speed, it's hard to make up ground, Steve, because alright, you're fast back in 25th with guys up in first place are equally as fast. So that's why track position, although these oval races can really, turn into big messes and big battles of attrition very quickly when you get these guys out here at such high speeds, track position is always important, and you can't really give it up. We saw it. Best example, Brandon Trost made that stop, got back in the pack, and was never able to get back through.
And here, as these drivers towards the front start to continue to finish making their pit stops, Brandon Trano is back out on track. He is 6 seconds behind the next driver on the track, and he is 19 seconds away from Jamie Rushworth, who has cycled through to the lead just for now. Jamie has not come down pit road for his final service, and he will be doing that very shortly as TM Hauser moves up into second place.
Hauser's getting it up to P2. Dennis Grease up on the top of the board right now. You got Rob Uglanek sitting in 3rd spot just behind him. Jamie Rushworth, as you said, came down pit road, actually overshot that stop a little bit. Had to put it in reverse. Going to cost that number 3 team just a little bit of time, but obviously that time's going to cost him track position. He's back out now. Going to be interesting to see how far he would slide back after costing himself maybe just 1 to 2 seconds on pit road, but that's a lot of time when you're out on the racetrack at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, just to think about how much time goes by and the amount of time you're sitting on pit road. You go down pit road, it takes you about 15 seconds to get to your pit stall, about, depending on where you are, probably about 10 seconds to get out. Either way, you're going to spend about 30 seconds on pit road just driving. and then you're only in your pit stall for about 10 seconds each and every time on average. And in that amount of time that you're on pit road, you go down a lap and a half here at Homestead, Miami. This track is just so fast for these Indy cars, and these Indy cars in general are just so fast. So that amount of time you spend on pit road, about 45 seconds, and then you got to add, of course, about 15 or 20 in for the access roads. They do slow you down quite a bit. You go down a full lap and a half, and that's incredible, Evan.
Yeah, the big thing that kills you at this racetrack is the access roads down into corners between 1 and 2 exiting and down below 3 and 4 when entering. We saw 1 week ago at Interlagos with that straight shoot coming on the pit road. These guys still pushing 170 miles an hour, got hard on the brakes and were able to nail it on that pit road entry, which is obviously something that these guys paid a lot of attention to and they practiced throughout the week coming up to this event. Are there green flag stops? So there was a lot of time to be gained and made at Interlagos with that straight shoot entrance on the pit road, because you got to do the access roads here, which is pretty uncommon per se with these oval tracks. Most other places you're still going to have to ride around an apron before you can blend back up and back straightaway, but you're really confined to what you can do here because you got grass on either side of you. One small mistake and you can actually wreck yourself on access roads, what we've seen before. So it's a tedious process, and again, you have to plan it right so you don't get cut a lot down.
Now Cam Stark falling back to 11th place as Jamie Rushworth, who just recently came down pit road, cycles through some of the cars that came down a little bit earlier there. Now Jamie Rushworth will be one of the last cars, 1 lap down actually, with Brandon Lichtenberg. He's in that pack just ahead of them right there in 1 and 2. Lichtenberg is 1 lap down, Evan, and that's not a good situation, because just before he came down pit road, he was in 2nd place. And now he is not only a lap down, but he's sitting in 9th. If a caution were to come out now, Brandon Treno, who has about 15 seconds on Brandon Lichtenberg right now, he will stay on the lead lap, but Lichtenberg will end up being trapped 1 lap down.
And we talked about, and we made quick note, Alex Simpson had come down rather quite early on that last cycle, Steve. He came about 5 laps prior to the first guy we came down, and, almost 10 laps earlier than we actually saw Brandon Treno try to do a short pit strategy. It did not work out, because Treno right now on track, provisionally sitting P5 right now. I say that because some of the guys in front of him yet to come down pit road. He's going to be working over the 95 car right now. That's George Naujoks for number 4 spot to the inside, down the front straightaway and through and clear. In the quarters number 1 and 2, you see that 9 car just powered through on the fresh set of tires there, and he's going to be able to get clear, no issue. He's now over 10 seconds clear of Alex Simpson, so whatever the 14's throwing at the 9 car, he's answered so far tonight.
Dennis Garis is still out on the track right now, has not come down pit road. It's been about 50 laps. He was one of the later cars to come down pit road that last time by. He is still sitting out on the track right now. He should be coming down within about 5 laps, if not sooner. That number 16, Dennis Garis, he's hoping for a caution. So is TM Hauser. So is everyone else that has not come down pit road that is still on the lead lap. Brandon Treno, I do believe, and Alex Simpson are the only 2 drivers on the lead lap, but now that Brandon Lichtenberg has now gotten back on the lead lap, there's going to be 3 cars that have come down pit road, and now we're going to have that number 16, he's coming down pit road this time, so he's going to relinquish that first place position to TM Hauser if he doesn't come down pit road also. But it looks like he will stay out, TM Hauser that is, and he's off the pace, Evan.
We have Naujoks coming in, and TM Hauser said that he had some sort of a brake issue. And he was trying to come down pit road, hit the access road, Steve, and he said that he had a brake malfunction, something with his pedals, slid right back up on track, nearly in front of traffic, and then because of that, he was unable to dive down to pit road on that short area, so now coming back around, he's going to hit that access road in 3 and 4, and he's able to get down. So not sure if his foot slipped off the pedals, they didn't respond, or had more. He nearly actually took out the barrels on that entry, so a lot of trouble for TM Hauser, missed it the first time around, and nearly got himself into more issues as he is into his stall now.
And now that almost everyone has come down pit road, Brandon Treno is back on point here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Checkered Flag Interactive is going to head over to one more quick commercial break before we get you back for the final stint of this race. Do not go away. Evan Pasoko, Steve Bonesteel will be back up in the booth in just a moment. Back live here at Homestead Miami Speedway, Evan Pasoko and Steve Bonesteel up in the booth. We are at this 1.5 mile track that opened in 1995 for racing action. 65,000 people plus can pile in here on any given weekend, and we are racing for 186 laps here tonight in the Rose DW12 Indy Car Series, Evan. And we have had a very interesting race so far. We had a spree of about 4 cautions at the beginning of this race, some drivers even getting penalized for some of the issues going on at the beginning of this race, but since about lap 45 we have been all clean and green, where Brandon Trano in the number 9, our in-race reporter, has simply pulled away and taken these guys to school, much like we saw Alex Simpson do last week at the season opener at Interlagos.
It was the Alex Simpson show where he was able to nearly end up as one of the only cars that was left on the lead lap. We're hearing that there's some sort of an issue for the 66 car of Brandon Trost trying to talk with race control. May have received a penalty of some sort of in the range of a 15-second black flag, Steve. So he's trying to discuss that with race control, and they're going to be able to confirm with that team. They're going to remove that penalty from the 66 team. So he's going to be able to keep going. Hearing it may have been a penalty for something of an infraction on the back straightaway. I think he had a little bit of a connection issue, blinked out, and when he came back, the sim recognized that as a cutting of the course, we'll call it, and he was penalized. But race control taking care of that. Doesn't help Brandon Trost much in the fact that I'm sure he'd like to be up where he started in that number 1 spot. He sits 17th, 2 laps down. Tough night for that 66 team.
Yeah, as we take a moment to talk about that, it's very interesting how the cookie can crumble here, especially in any type of racing. Brandon Trost, he chose to come down pit road on that 3rd caution, and that particular run, we only had about 5 laps of action on the tires, and he chose to come down pit road. Only about 4 cars came down with him, and they were all at the back of the field. So now as he goes down pit road once again, he will continue to lose track position, but he was in 2nd place when he came down pit road early on in this event, and since then he got stuck back in traffic and he was not able to find his way back around, but he is coming down pit road. Not sure why. Maybe he still has that penalty and he disappears off the screen.
He had a blinking issue down the back straightaway, so coming down pit road, he is not disconnected. Now he's back on track, so he's obviously experiencing some sort of a technical issue. Again, iRacing, our equivalency of a mechanical failure is a connection problem, which plagued me earlier today, but you need to have that constant connection to the sim and to the the server to be able to be in these races, blinking in and out. I'm sure that maybe race control had asked him to bring that thing down pit road so that he doesn't cause any sort of an incident on track.
Just continuing to watch our leader here, the number 9 of Brandon Trano. He has put on a very great event for himself here tonight. He has definitely showed these guys that while he wasn't so great last week at Interlagos, he is here and he is ready to really just show these guys that I'm here for the oval races, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it the best I can.
And we're not surprised either that it is going to be the number 9 car who was able to, again, get a good starting position and obviously at this point looks to be heading in the right direction to take home a checkered flag in our first official oval race of the year, as he leads by 13 seconds over Alex Simpson. Brendan Lichtenberg about 4 seconds back from Simpson, 17 off of the top spot. Jamie Rushworth is 20 off of Trano in 4th, and 5th position is Cam Stark. But a great pickup for Jamie Rushworth, started in 10th spot, sits 4th right now, is the only driver inside of the top 5 right now that started outside of a top 6 starting position. Dennis Garis as well. Although these guys are laps down, they've really picked it up, Steve, tonight and have made great improvements. He started 17th, is 6th right now. Robbie Gleinik started 13th, is in 7th. And TM Hauser back in 27th position is where he started this race. He's picked up 19 spots to get to where he is right now at 8th position. So a lot of guys, although they're hanging out where they were and they've been front runners all night, we have had a couple of guys that have had to fight their way to where they are right now.
and it's just interesting to take a look there. We've only got 5 cars on the lead lap, I do believe now, and with that being said, I mean, it's been a long run. We've gone green for almost 120 laps now at Homestead, Miami, and that's a very impressive run. These Indy cars are so fragile, just the slightest tap of the wall. We really went into this race thinking we'd see more drivers get that wall and get themselves in trouble, and it really hasn't been the case.
Everybody here at the Realistic Open Wheel Simulation Experience, the Rose DW12 series, I don't want to say they run a tight ship in the fact that you think they're yelling at these guys, but there's a lot of money on the line every week. For a first seasoned league here with Steve, with this being their inaugural season, outstanding stuff that they're providing for the drivers. Drivers got to pay quite a little bit to be able to get into this series, so I think the combination of the two is really ensuring that you don't have people out there making bonehead moves. Really, everybody here has been so respectful, and I think that's obviously going to be a key to leading to these long green flag runs, is the fact that the drivers aren't, they're not being dumb about it. They're playing it smart. They know what's on the line. They know what's on the line. Maybe if they're a lap down, what's on the line for the other guys around them, and I think everybody's driving real great.
And it's really impressive as we continue to talk about it. The Rose DW12 series here, this is their inaugural season, like you said, Evan. It's really impressive that they were able to get these drivers to be willing to pay, I think it was $50 for the full season, and then $25 if you only want to do the ovals or the road courses. It's impressive they were able to find people, so many people, that were willing to throw down the money on something that's really hasn't been heard of all that much. I do know these guys have been affiliated with other leagues, and they do have quite a fan base between friends and whatnot, but it's impressive that they've gotten so many great drivers out here for this inaugural season, and it's going to be a great season of racing, and we're just sure of it.
This is going to be the first 2 races now that, you may look at the stat sheet, you're going to be like, oh, that's a boring race. There's only a handful of guys on the lead lap. That is great, because that means either everybody wrecked, which is obviously not good, or these situations that we've had where we have had long green flag runs, which is what you want to see. And hands off to the drivers as well for almost taking a chance, and giving the guys at Rose. And, the guys here, they put a lot of thought into this. They had this whole structure set up, and without the drivers, none of it would have come to fruition. So for these drivers, again, to take a chance on a league that, was not really known, obviously, with an inaugural season, to be able to put that money down. And obviously, it's led to this, which so far has been nothing but great racing. Only 2 races in, albeit out of a 19-race season, where we fight for a lot of prizes, a lot of money on the line, not only for the championship, but week in and week out as well. $30 to the guy who takes home the checkered flag. Alex Simpson won last week. He wouldn't mind $20 for second place tonight. Not going to be too easy. He's got some company closing in on him rather quickly, as Brendan Lichtenberg would like to get to him by the time this race is over. However, just coming down now, I'm at about 4 or 5 laps to go that last time by. Not a lot of time left in this, but I mean, everybody's just doing a great job.
And here, as this race is coming to an end, we've got about 4 laps remaining for Brandon Trano, our in-race reporter, still going around here, but Alex Simpson has company coming for him there on his back bumper in just a moment. We're going to have 3 laps remaining. The best battle on track is on your screen.
And Alex Simpson currently working the bottom, slides up, coming off of quarter number 2. Brendan Lichtenberg going to have the draft. Not going to make his move quite yet. You see, he feathered the throttle just a little bit there to the bottom. Goes the driver, that 14 Simpson. Looking high was Lichtenberg, sliding down off the corner this time by for these guys. Going to be 3 laps to go. He goes to the inside to make the pass. Brandon Lichtenberg wants 3rd spot. Or actually, he doesn't want 3rd. He wants to be able to get up to 2nd. He'll get it from Alex Simpson. Simpson catches the wall.
And he will catch the wall, and now he's got Jamie Rushworth on his back bumper, Evan, with 2 laps remaining as they come across the line momentarily here. The battle's going to now be for Alex Simpson to retain that 3rd place spot. Jamie Rushworth looking underneath of him here. He's going to go underneath. He's going to get contact from behind. The 95 gets into Alex Simpson, knocks him into the apex of the corner. He will lose that 3rd spot to Jamie Rushworth as Brandon Trano now hits that final lap.
Greg Nodjox was being a little bit aggressive there. Almost got it at the back of Rushworth a couple of times. He did end up hitting Alex Simpson, and, bad situation there. But Brandon Trano's got clean track, and he's coming out of quarter number 4 for the final time.
Brandon Trano crosses the line. He is your winner here tonight, but we look back to second place. Brandon Lichtenberg's got about half of a second over Jamie Rushworth. Jamie's not going to be able to get to him here. Maybe 2 or 3 more laps he would have been able to do it, but that is not the case. Brandon Lichtenberg will come second. Jamie Rushworth third. Alex Simpson fourth. Then Dennis Garise will round out the top 5 with T.M. Hauser coming in 6th place.
Well, there's nothing. It's a similar situation to 1 week ago. You know, you can't say enough about Brandon Trano to come in here and dominate the ovals as he has here, being able to get this one done. Very interesting to see how that battle for second went down there at the end. Now, Alex Simpson was second for a long time, and he comes home just a little bit short, slides back to 4th place in those closing laps. Great job of Lichtenberg and Rushworth as well to time those passes, because they made them at a point, and maybe it wasn't really a choice, it's just when they happened to catch him, but they were able to make the pass, and the race was over just like that, so it didn't give Alex Simpson a time to try to get back at them and try to make a pass back for those spots. So Lichtenberg and Rushworth almost going to steal their way onto the podium, but great pickup for that 3 team. Again, Rushworth started in 10th spot, he comes home in 3rd, and again, guys like Dennis Garise, T.M. Hauser, Robbie Glindick, who started off deeper in the pack. Great job from them as well to be able to get up through, get top 10 spots.
As Brandon Trano celebrates going around, reverse around this course, definitely he put on a great show for those of you at home, and I do see quite a bit of chatter on our Twitch chat really quick here. iRacing is just so exciting for these people to get into, and it is available for almost anyone. You don't even need the best connection. Of course, you're going to want a good connection, but you can get on iRacing with dial-up. It doesn't work very well, no. And hopefully none of you watching do have dial-up, or else the stream's not coming through for you very good. But here, as Brandon Trano burns it down, all you need to get started on an iRacing is a computer that can run pretty much... I mean, I don't really know how you could call it. Probably a $500 PC will get you started.
Yeah, but I started off at iRacing. I had nothing special. I had maybe like a 17-inch like squared monitor, and just like a TV that you pick up real cheap from the store. You know, it's not one of these big rigs and stuff, and it worked for me for quite some time, and I've made myself broke now by finally upgrading to a good setup here that's a lot nicer. But iRacing is very accessible. You can go on iRacing.com. They have information on suggested system requirements. There's a lot of different wheels and pedal setups you can get. So there's a whole lot of different things that you can choose price range wise that makes iRacing accessible to a lot of people. And you touched on it earlier. Holiday season coming up. If people are going to be either getting iRacing or getting some money for the holidays, iRacing's always a great place to come and check out. There's so much to do, and who knows, maybe you could be out on track here coming up for future and maybe even future broadcasts this year on CFI.
And with that being said, we're going to head over to a quick commercial break. Checkered Flag Interactive will be right back for our post-race show and previewing the next race, which is in 2 weeks' time at Road America. Do not go away. Post-race interviews are right around the corner. Back here live at Homestead Miami Speedway, we've got your winner, Brandon Trano, up in the booth. I'm going to toss it over to Evan Pasoko, and there you go.
Well, it was a dominating performance 1 week ago from the 14 camp, and tonight it was all about the number 9 as Brandon Trano pulls his Honda into victory lane, and it was a dominating performance, Brandon. You ended up getting it 17 seconds over the next closest competitor after starting fourth on the grid. From pretty much 35 on, it was clean and green, and you were only putting more time on everybody behind you, lap in and lap out. What made this car so dominating, and what allowed you to be able to get home this win?
Well, the reason that car was so dominating is all those guys over at Broken Arrow. Man, they put a lot of time in this setup, and we questioned which way to go on downforce and speed, everything like that. And we made a really close decision come race time, but I'm really happy with the outcome.
It clearly worked out in your guys' favor because now again it's going to be 2 races in a row that we only have a handful of cars not on the lead lap, not because of incidents, but because of the fact that the leader has just set such a great pace. And obviously I know you expect yourself to be strong rolling into these oval races. Now that we're 2 in, you've had a road course under your belt, now you've got an oval under your belt. You can see that Alex Simpson, very competitive on both. How are you looking forward now to approach the rest of the season? Next race coming up, going to be back on the road side of things,
Well, we look to continue our dominance performance. We got to work on the road side a little bit. Alex is so quick on the road side, so game plan is to just get top 5s, hopefully top 3s, and go out there and try to dominate all the ovals we can, and hopefully come out on top.
Well, you burned it down on the front stretch of the Homestead Miami Speedway this afternoon, and respectively so, as you're able to get it by 17 seconds over Brendan Lynchenberg in second. You're in your own zip code tonight, Brandon. Before we let you go, sponsors and shout-outs, anybody that you want to thank for making this possible?
Yeah, once again, all the guys at Broken Arrow, all their hard work. Brendan Lichtenberg, teammate over there, getting P2, so Broken Arrow 1-2, that's pretty cool. I got to thank Fiberworks Composites for coming on board for this season. And, God, we could put a really good show on.
Thanks for taking a moment to talk to us, Brandon. Again, congratulations to you and obviously your team as well. Lichtenberg with a good run tonight on a nice night out at the Homestead of Miami Speedway. We wish you luck rolling forward in this championship battle. Steve, that's it down here from Victory Lane, and you've caught up with that driver of the 12 car who comes home in second. It's going to be Brendan Lynchenberg.
Hey, Brandon, it's Steve up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, congratulations on that second place finish. It was definitely a close one there. What was going on there those final few laps when you were catching up to Alex? Was it the difference in pit strategy that allowed you to get to him the way you did?
Well, first, if I can make a small correction, my last name's pronounced Lichtenberg. As for your question, I didn't think I was going to catch him. I knew he had great pace throughout the whole race. Most of the race I was behind him. He definitely did a great job with his car, and obviously he's a top-class driver. At the end, it just turned out he had more tire wear than I did, and I knew I had to make the move because there was only so few laps remaining.
So now that you've completed this first oval season or oval race of this season, you go back to Road America in 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on the road courses? Are road courses your strong suit, or is ovals where you plan that you're going to be strong throughout the season?
I'm pretty good on road courses. I wouldn't tell you I'm a top driver in road courses, but I'm definitely a threat for top 5s on road courses, depending on the track. My strong suit is ovals, but Road America is by far one of my favorite road course tracks, and it's the only road course win in the official series in the IndyCar is there, so definitely looking forward to that. It's one of my favorite tracks.
All right, 10-4. Before we head off to our third place finisher, who do you have to thank for bringing your IndyCar to the track and getting you that second place finish here tonight?
I just saw my guys, not to sound like a broken record, but everyone at Broken Arrow, Brandon Trano, he put in a great drive today. Dave Jenks, Rob Unglenex, Steve Richardson, Gary Borkenhagen, all the guys that ran with us tonight and put in the effort. And it shows how hard work pays off. I'm really happy about our performance today.
All right, once again, congratulations. Very good coming away with a second place finish and $20, so that's definitely worth it. That almost pays for 3 months of your iRacing subscription right there.
Hey man, show me the money. I love it.
I think.
And now we're down, caught up on pit road, driver of the number 14 machine, Alex Simpson. If this race ended about 5 laps sooner, it would have been a P2 result, Alex. You're able to get 4th tonight, though. Another strong finish coming off of your win 1 week ago. How did you get the job done? You started top 3, you showed speed all night long, just couldn't hang on there at the end as the Lichtenberg and Rushworth were able to catch you with about 5 to go.
Yeah, we took the gamble with the tyres. We knew that we could make it all the way from 133. We thought we would get a bit lucky with traffic and things like that, and try and build up a bit of a gap. And it was looking good actually. And I thought we were just about going to hold on there, but I caught the wall with about 5 to go. That just took another 1/10 of a second off of our pace there. And I'm not sure who the lapped car was, but he unlapped himself and I caught a load of air taken off, although he caught the wall again, I think, just skimmed it and had to check up massively, lost all that momentum. So I'm actually a little gutted that I didn't hold on to second, but I'm actually really happy that I was able to be there at the end of the race fighting for it. So perhaps got to work on our strategy a little bit and perhaps the overall long run pace. I think we'd targeted sort of 40, 50 lap runs rather than the full tank, so it was a bit of an unknown what the car was going to do there.
Well, you talk about consistency, and you had a solid finish in the season opener, or rather the unofficial season opener, the preseason warm-up race at Michigan. That was the first time we were able to see you on the oval. Got a solid finish, dominating performance 1 week ago, and tonight, again, top 3 car, essentially all race long. You come home in 4th position tonight, and obviously, again, it's a long way to go. 19 races in this championship, but you got to like where things are looking for the Apex Racing Academy machine now, 2 races in with back-to-back top 5s.
Yeah, I'm dead